Hello and welcome to Get Into Games on Air, a podcast about board games and the people who play them. I'm Craig, and joining me as always is Becky.
Hi.
Hello. Firstly, I'd like to mention that this episode is proudly sponsored by Rent, Shuffle and Roll. Head to rentshuffleandroll.co.uk and use the code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month of their amazing board game rental service. So head over to www.rentshuffleandroll.co.uk right now and see what you can find. Hello. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, it has been a busy week.
It's been a busy week. We've been doing lots of a board game.
We have. We've played lots of board games.
So many board games.
I have played some solo board games. We've done a bit of BGA, and we have played with real people in real life.
We played with people.
We've even been to a board game cafe.
Yeah, I go to one of them every week.
But we went too.
We went to a board game place. It was fun.
So, shall I go through what we...
So in this episode, this is episode 14. Episode 14 is called Get Into Games.
Get into games.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Get into games?
Get into games on air, episode 14, Get Into Games.
Or get into
We're going to be talking, Get Into James. We're going to be talking how to get into James. Firstly, we are into James's games? James's games. How to get into James's games?
Yeah, how to get into James's games.
There we go. Thank you very much. Working on the fly here. So we have a special guest for later in the podcast. How exciting is that? 3 voices you're going to hear. Mine,
you won't know where the voices
and mine.
Are coming from.
No, you'll never know. You'll never know. They might be sneaking up on you when you least expect it. But as always, we're going to talk about all of the board games that we did board game this week, and then we'll get into the episode. The meat and potatoes of the episode. You know, something like that. Lads.
On Monday, we played the number 9.
Nice.
We played a new game to us, which was Genotype, which is a game about growing peas and how they germinate. It
was really fun.
It's
really
good.
Fun.
You kind of roll dice, and then you're allowed to select certain ones, and you have to try and get all the variations that you need on your card.
Yeah,
you can grow your peas, or you can buy a tool, or you can have an upgrade kind of thing. It's like action selection.
It's worker placement, dice placement, bit of card management. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I think it will come to the table again soon.
Definitely, yeah. I really enjoyed it, and I think there's a lot of different strategies that you can implement, because there's quite a few actions that you can take. Just a case of working out what's best.
And I think initially I was put off by the theme of the game, because it's about science, and I don't necessarily understand the science of how peas grow, and the letters.
It does come with
confusing.
It does come with a big book of how the genotype works.
But I think if I was going to say anything, it would be that is a little bit off-putting. However, once you work out how the game plays, you don't really need to understand the science to be able to understand what's going on.
I'd really like to be getting to the designer diary of that, when they had a meeting and they got around the table and went, what should we make a game about? And then someone just shouted out,
genetics.
Someone just went, peas. I want peas. Peas.
We also played Star Wars Unlimited.
We did.
We made decks.
We did. We made our own decks, didn't we? I made a Boba Fett deck.
And I made a Cassian Andor deck.
We did.
They're working quite well.
And we did a big Star Wars.
We've played it later in the week as well, and we've both won one time each with our decks, so that's cool. We did a side quest escape room type thing, the Nemesis version.
Yep, that's from Board and Dice, yeah.
Really good fun, and I would say I enjoyed it more than an exit game.
Excuse me.
Yeah. You are excused.
Thank you.
Anyway, I would say I enjoyed it maybe more than the exit.
I did, yeah.
You don't destroy anything in it, which is quite nice. And the box and some of the cards become like a room that you then get to take parts
to explore. Yeah,
and
it's really cool.
when you gain cards, you get to put them in, and that becomes a later puzzle. It was cool. I really enjoyed that. And then we have been working on the Rise of Fenris campaign.
Yep.
So we've played
5.
four. I think we're on
4 or
5
of the 8. Yeah.
I have got a cool character, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, it's a bit spoiler territory, but yeah, it's really good. We'll do a whole episode on Rise of Fenris when we've completed it. It'll be exciting.
Played some Decorum, which we played a bit this week.
Yeah, I love Decorum. It's really just stressful and fun.
Then we played with the kids in the Footsteps of Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
Then you were at work, and I did some BGA with Games with Beanie. So we played Go Nuts for Donuts, which I really enjoy. It's such a simple game. You basically bid on. So if there's 4 players, there's 4 donuts come out. You bid on the donut that you want, and if nobody else bids for that donut, you get to keep it. But if somebody else bids on the same donut as you, it gets discarded. And it's just really good fun.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable, like set collection, almost like Sushi Go-esque kind of thing. It reminds me of, but yes, and these adorably drawn donuts and stuff.
We also played Potion Explosion online. You weren't there?
No, I wasn't there.
And then we played Wingspan. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about Wingspan online. I feel like it takes a long time on BGA. I don't know why. It probably takes the same amount of time in real time. But I just feel it's a bit slow on BGA, but that's just my opinion.
It's all over the screens a bit. Like, you have to scroll a lot. Yeah. You scroll up and down, up and down, up and down to find things. Unless you've got a big screen.
Then we played some Featherweight Fiesta. And we taught our oldest Splendor. And then I played with her some Onitama, some Koale, and some Quixo. And we also learned a new game from Devere, which was Bamboo.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one. The actions you can take depend on the bamboo that you've got. And I like the mechanism for choosing your next actions for the next turn, because you put them into this
it's quite
double-layered board, and it pushes the bamboo up, and the bit that's grown you can then take, and that's your next action. So you're trying to think, where am I going to put my bamboo to push up the right actions?
Yeah, by putting your incense in. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of strategy that can go into it. It's quite simple. The instruction manual is one of those ones that's quite daunting. There's a lot of pages of filler that don't necessarily need to be there, but it is quite straightforward as far as a game.
Yeah. And then you went to work, and I decided, what should I do? So I played lots of solo games. That I'm always a bit turned off playing solo games, because I just think, why bother? I can't be bothered to get out a big game and play it solos. But I thought, I'm going to try. So I played Next Station London, which is fine. I don't mind playing that. And you like playing that solo as well.
Yeah.
I played Molehill Meadows by myself. I also played Sagrada. And Sagrada solo is quite cool. So you take 2 dice, and the 2 dice that you don't take get put on the board. And then to beat it, you have to add up all of the dice that you didn't take. Yeah. And if your score is greater than the score of the dice that you didn't take, then you win. So that was quite cool.
Sounds good.
I also played Forever Home solo.
Forever Home
it's really nice, fun. But it's got a different side to the board than the normal.
Yeah.
And you each turn that you take, you put another one of the coloured dogs onto the scoring chart at the top. So you're basically designing the scoring as you go, which is quite nice.
Yep.
I also played Cascadia solo and Rolling Ramp solo. So that was nice. And then we played some Card Stop and some more Scythe. Then we played some Boop, some Ecosystem Savannah. And then we had our friends come over and we played lots of kites and failed every single time.
Yeah, we didn't do well at all.
I'm not
kites.
sure they liked it.
No, they did not enjoy kites. But
it's a dexterity game with the sound timers.
So you're under
and you don't have any
pressure.
time to think.
It's real time.
We played Joe Porter, which they did like, and the Art Project, which again went down really well considering they're kind of new to the game, and you'll hear more about it later.
Yep.
We played some Tsuro, a very fun couple of games of Toss It, where we were throwing the Toss It dice onto the dining room table.
Yep.
We played Star Wars: The Clone Wars 3 times and did not succeed at any point.
Yeah.
At one point, I said I'd take over from you because we were doing so badly at turning over the cards, and managed to pull the 3 cards that were the starting planets that had 3 each, so they immediately got blockaded, and
it went wrong very quickly.
And then we played some Robot Quest Arena, a new game to us. We played some Cosmic Encounter, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was. We'll probably speak a bit more about that later, but it's. I don't know. There was the first time we played it. It felt a bit kind of like, is that it? Is that? It didn't feel that satisfying. It felt quite mean, and it felt a bit like almost mean for the sake of being mean. I think it felt a little unbalanced. The balancing of the actual like leaders and the aliens, their powers. Some of them seemed really powerful, and then some of them seemed like you couldn't really do much.
I think it's not a game to play at 3-player. I think it's a party game.
It's a big Play
it with 6.
Well,
5.
Yeah, 5, and then add the expansion to play with 6 or 7.
And the more people, I think, the better the experience, because it's not that take-thatty always at you. It's
at 3-player, you're always going to be someone. You're always going to be getting like it can be really rough. You could be one person who's just unlucky that the destiny pile turns over, and it's always you, kind of thing.
And then we played. We played some at the Dice Box today. We played some Pengulu, which the children like, which is penguins with coloured
eggs,
like matching colours.
Yeah, you roll the dice, you pick up the
memory
eggs
game
to find the colours.
We played Potion Explosion in the reel.
Yeah,
which
really
is always
good.
very satisfying. And then we had a go at playing Letters from Whitechapel, which is a hidden movement type game, which is really cool. We only got to play the first sort of round of it, because it does take quite a long time to get going.
Yeah,
but it was enjoyable, and I am thinking maybe that the newer upgrade version, might
definitely
be
very
something
tempted to get a copy of it or get a hold of it to play.
So we've been playing lots of games this
week. It's been really good. We've played a lot of stuff and
a few new games, which is always good to get new games to the table. And now the job is to try to get them back to the table, so it's not just a single play.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good games being played, a lot of fun, and a lot of games still to play on the horizon. We're getting some more friends over very soon to play some more games. We're having another games day. Hopefully next week
hear more about that.
We'll have more game news and gossip to talk about. Well, it's exciting. It's actually monumentous. Today, we don't just have 2 seats by the podcast microphone of doom. We have 3 seats. And in those 3 seats are 3 bums. One of those bums belongs to me. One belongs to Rebecca, but another belongs to the protagonist of this week's episode. #Get into James is our good friend of the podcast, friend of the real life, board gamer extraordinaire, new to the hobby, but extraordinaire all the same. It's James. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
It was good, wasn't it? It was good. It was good. I tried to bring people up and bring people together.
Board game extraordinaire, but also new to board games.
Yeah.
I'm extraordinarily new to board games.
Yeah,
that.
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's a talent, and some of us have it. Whenever we have a lovely guest on our podcast, because it happens so frequently.
This happened once.
Once before. That's happened once. We rattle off some very quick fire questions first before we get into the nitty gritty of what it's like to get into the hobby. So, are you ready?
I'm guessing I don't have a choice, but yes.
Yes, excellent work. Okay, let's go.
I think there's about 15 questions.
15 questions.
And you have to answer them as quickly as you can.
Quickly as you can.
Right. Are you ready?
No.
Okay. First game you ever played?
Probably Snakes and Ladders.
Okay. First convention, a board gaming one that you went to?
The one you guys invited me to.
ScootCon.
ScootCon, yes.
The player colour of your choice?
Purple.
Your favourite game?
Nemesis.
Okay. Favourite player count?
5.
Your biggest ever board game purchase?
Would probably be Cosmic Encounters, which I just bought and have just put a load of expansions in my Amazon cart that I haven't paid for yet.
None of this, I will add, is my fault.
All of it is Craig's fault.
A game you'd recommend to others?
Game I'd recommend to others. Dixit.
Nice.
Which version?
The original.
Ah.
Of course.
But there's no other alternate version of Dixit.
Of course not.
Head back a few episodes, you'll soon find out.
Your best gaming experience to date?
Best gaming experience to date. I'm going to cheat slightly and say collectively discovering and joining in with Blood on the Clock Tower, because it's such a fun social game. It's introduced me to loads of people. It's kind of given me more contact with a couple of very, very close and dear friends who aren't obviously in the room.
And you can do a murder.
But yeah, it's just great fun.
Okay. Worst gaming experience?
Those games of Blood on the Clock.
Yeah, when I end up with a really bad character on Blood on the Clock Tower. No, worst gaming experience. Can't really think. I mean, no, I don't think I've really had a negative gaming experience yet. I am, as you said, an extraordinarily new player.
Is there something that other players do that really like turns you off wanting to play with them, or irritates you, or?
I think it's just people not giving the game a chance.
Yeah.
So when people they'll play kind of one round or one hand or something like, no, it's not for me. I'm just like, okay, yeah, but if you give it a second, these things will start to flow and click and it will improve. Now, don't get me wrong, I fully appreciate that not all games are for everyone, but at the same time, I think you should give games a chance.
Yeah, definitely. A mechanic you like in games?
Mechanic I like in games? I do like the kind of hidden role, social deduction-y kind of, am I on your side, am I not? Obviously, Blood on the Clock Tower, Nemesis, that kind of thing. So yeah, kind of not knowing who to trust, but also the chance to be evil is always fun.
Favourite theme or IP in a board game?
Favourite theme or IP? I mean, I'm a huge nerd, so Star Wars. So anything Star Wars related, or sci-fi in general, I really enjoy. So yeah, I'll go with that.
Cool. Back to Blood on the Clock Tower. What's your best Blood on the Clock Tower character that you've been or that you think is the best?
My favourite character, or what I think is the best, because they're not the same.
Well, you can answer both questions.
Oh, great! I've added a question to the roster.
Yeah, 16 questions.
So my personal favourite is the Serenobus, because I just love messing with people and it's just fun. The best character, as long as they die and you're evil, then the Hatter, because it's great. For the evil team, a Hatter is infinite fun. Okay,
a game you'd like to play but haven't got around to yet.
Game I'd like to play but haven't got around to yet. Probably Dune, the kind of the board game of that. It looks really pretty. I'm a big fan of the original film, and love the kind of the powers the different houses have, and Harkonnens and everything else. And kind of, the big evil galactic empire taking all the money, and the sandstorm mechanic that goes around the board. I think it's really kind of cool.
That's cool. The best online game on BGA or other.
Well, the best online games belong with Right playing with you guys.
We didn't pay him to say
but
that.
you did.
Checks in the post.
BGA wise, though, what do I really like playing? I mean, Six Nints is always great fun.
Yeah.
Space Base, have to give a shout out Space Base. Love me some Space Base, and for the record, buying the yellow cards is cheating. I know it's a mechanic, but I maintain it's cheating.
Yeah.
Come at me in the comments.
We have comments.
We turned them off.
But yeah,
I thought you might say Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, see, D&D online, don't get me wrong, is great fun. But D&D in person is so much more kind of visceral. I have played both online D&D and in-person D&D. D&D in person is just... You kind of invest so much more emotion in it.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the online spaces are great for, especially obviously when it was lockdown and everything else, creating worlds and maps and everything else, and if people can't get together because of distances and stuff, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get your party in the same room, there's nothing else like it. It's just great fun.
Fair enough. And two slightly not quick-fire questions, but do you have a board game confession? Is there something you've done in a board game that you would like to confess to everyone? Or
is there a well-loved board game that you don't? You just don't like for some reason.
An unpopular opinion.
A hot take.
I like a hot cake.
Hot cakes are good. So let's board game confession. I suppose it does count. As a DM in D&D, I have fudge rolls. I've changed dice rolls to balance certain encounters when my players are either doing far too well and there's no challenge, which is fine sometimes.
Yeah.
It's nice to give kind of your players an easy win. But at the same time, if you're kind of building up to something and you need it to be a little bit more testing and you almost want the players to think, oh, should we be having this fight?
Yeah.
There's been times where I've it's been, that's a 3. Not anymore. That would be a 17
but
plus
that's
there.
Benefit of the players and their enjoyment.
Yes, but if I'm doing that, what's the point of rolling the dice in the first place?
Yeah. Okay.
So I get why people don't like people fudging rolls, but I think done sparingly, I think it's okay.
Okay.
And hot take, I actually quite enjoy Monopoly.
Okay, cool.
I own a couple of copies, but my favourite variant is the Lord of the Rings one because it moves the one ring around the board.
Which we've played with you.
And it actually puts a decent time limit on the game.
Yeah. I found an exciting variant of Monopoly that I think we should get. It's the Jurassic Park one. And when you pass go, you have to press the gate. If it plays the Jurassic Park music, you get $200. If it plays a T-Rex noise, there's a T-Rex that walks around the board and destroys your houses and your hotels.
I want it.
Yes.
And you did a board game menu not so long ago.
I did.
But now, having played a few more games, would you revise it?
Oh, that's throwing me under the bus. So if memory serves...
So it's starter, main, and dessert.
Yeah, I think my main was Nemesis. I know that. And I think my dessert was Shifting Stones.
Okay.
I can't remember what my starter was, and that's really bad. So, Yeah, do you know what? I think I will mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
I think my starter, having now played it, would be Decorum because it's so angry and so aggressively. Yeah, it just. Yeah, Decorum will be my starter.
So you're starting up there.
Starting with Decorum.
Starting hating each other.
Yeah, to then lead into Nemesis still.
Nice.
So that you're already at each other's throats. And then the Star Wars co-op pandemic.
Nice.
Clone Wars.
Star Wars Clone Wars. So that you just bring each other back together and fail at defeating every enemy.
Okay, cool.
That seems about right. Yeah.
So you start low and just keep going low.
Keep going, yeah.
Love it.
And then you're going home Just dragging your heels.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. So that was our quick fire questions. I think everyone's got to know you a little bit more, but there's always more depth that we can dig. So, most of us played board games as we were younger. We played your Monopolies, your Cluedos, your Scrabbles, and your so ons and so forth. But
I've never played so on and so forth.
have you not?
No.
It's very good.
They've remastered it, mate. It's pretty good.
Restoration Games. Big shout out to them restoring that one.
People are busily typing in. So on and
So
so forth. What's that?
Oh,
Patent pending.
it's near and far, above and below, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
It's a Ryan Lockhart game. It's a good one. Yeah, it's Sleeping Gods. Yeah,
When that comes out, you're going to be like, that was my idea.
Sorry, Ryan. You owe me some monies. But yeah, so what was it about, or what was it in modern gaming? Modern board gaming? Your Catan, your Ticket to Ride, your Colt Expresses. What really got you into wanting to play more, experience more board games, would you say then? Coming from getting into games, how you would get someone who is new to the hobby. How did you get into games?
So I had these friends who were really into games, and they dragged me along.
And they were who? I'll get them for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't speak to them anymore. No, I mean, you guys definitely kind of stoked the fire of appreciation of some of the games out there. And I mean, again, it was things like we used to play kind of video games and that kind of thing, and there was always that kind of element of gaming in that overarching sense. Mm-hmm. And then me and my partner would come up and visit, and we would just play a few board games, and then it kind of just kept on developing from there. And then I met other friends, and kind of just through life and work and stuff, who were also into board gaming. And then with my very limited knowledge, kind of started playing board games with them. The online community, things like NRB, Dicebreaker, those kind of YouTube channels, again, introduced me more and more to kind of what was actually out there, rather than, it doesn't just have to be Monopoly, Ludo, a deck of cards. There's games outside those. And that just kind of really built my interest. And then again, it was things like D&D, getting into that and starting to kind of run campaigns for friends and as a player and the DM and the creative side of that. And it just kind of, the mechanics in those games, they cross over at so many points. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not just kind of obviously dice rolling. I am a bit of a dice goblin, I can't lie. Not a dice dragon. They care about what dice they like. Dice goblin, I don't care. Just give me all of the dice. Hence why I love Dice Miner so much. But it's very much a case of just trying different games and finding out what mechanics I enjoy. Seeing games played and then trying it for myself and going, do you know what? That actually, I like this bit of it.
Yeah.
I don't so much like that bit. Is there a game that fits that but not that, and going in that direction and just developing from there. So for anyone kind of contemplating getting into the hobby, it doesn't have to be the scary £150 big box games. Yes, don't get me wrong, some of them are awesome. I obviously wax lyrical about Nemesis because I just love it. But at the same time, things like Dixit and I think we're going to discuss some other games later, and it's finding something you connect with that then can lead you into gaming, because gaming's so massive. Pretty much everything has a board game.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So if you like Game of Thrones or Star Wars or whatever TV show or whatever music genre or whatever, there is probably a board game that fits it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of finding that connection and just going with it.
What game would you say gave you your wow moment into the modern world of board? So a lot of people what's your gateway game? What's the first game that got you into kind of modern game? Most people, for me, it was Pandemic or Colt Express. That made me go, oh, this is
have to have a board.
This is a board game. Wow. What would you say was the one that made you first play it and you go, oh wow, this is different to everything else. I've not this is a different experience. Mine was Pandemic, remembering we got it and it was co-op and I was like, what? Sorry, what happened? We're working together. No, I don't understand. What would you say was the first one?
I'm going to surprise you at this point. it was probably sat on the floor in your living room,
Probably.
playing Santorini.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the first games that it was. So you've got an objective, and you're building your houses and your towers and roofing them and everything else, and then, oh, by the way, you're this character now, and they can do X.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's cool. And then I inevitably lost. And then it was like, right, do you want to try a different character? It's like, sorry, what do you mean? And it's like, oh, well, this one's got this power. I'm like, oh, that clicks with me a bit better. And it was that moment, it was like, it's not just, here is a board and here is a game. This is the only way you can play this game. There is variation, there is creativity, there is opportunity and choice.
Yeah.
And for me, it was realising that it's not just roll a dice, move 3 things along, turn over a card, do what you're told. There is so much more to it, and there was kind of tactical thinking and developing that side of it, and just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And again, it's like every now and again, it's like when you're playing a game, it's like, oh, I haven't got the cards, or I haven't got this.
Yeah.
You can still have fun because I personally still have fun because, well, chaos reigns. And every now and again, you just go full chaos mode, and you potentially can't win. You're not trying to spoil it for everyone, but you're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's still so liberating and just enjoyable.
What I really enjoy about the hobby is that we've been able to, like, take you to, like, our mini convention where you don't know anybody, and you've still had a good time because you've met people, but because we're playing a game, it doesn't seem like, oh my God, I've got to meet these new people, and there's an expectation, because actually the game brings you together, and then you have that common link with them through the game.
Yeah, and again, I played Clock Tower with you guys an awful lot, and I do believe potentially one of your regular listeners, who we play Clock Tower with, I've developed a certain, I would say, rivalry with.
Yeah.
A lovely lady who I've met once in my life, who I swear death upon on a weekly basis. But
in the nicest possible
obviously,
sense
yeah.
of the word.
She tries to kill me every time. It's fine. But it's just that kind of almost kind of developing your own meta and having fun with it. And sometimes you lean into it, and some other times it's like, right, we're going to abandon the meta today, and we're going to do this properly.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes in, the meta's back, and you kill each other. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's that opportunity to meet people, have a laugh, and not have that social pressure of, we have to do the small talk thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, you're sat with the game, your small talk is the game, and it's just opens up doors. It's great.
Yeah. Cool. So shall we move on to some recommendations that we would have? Shall we all do one and then?
Yeah, I think we can do one, and why we've chosen that specifically. So what we're going to do is we're going to recommend. We're going to do a little list with 3 games each that we've chosen that we would highly recommend if you know someone who is new to the hobby or wants to get involved in the hobby or not interested in board games at all, and you'd really like to share your hobby with them, and maybe try and get them into games. I like that.
Should we let our guests go first?
Our branding should be getting into games, I think.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
Great.
You should get some merch out.
100%. I need a Redbubble.
Yeah, have you? You should look. Is that handle available on Instagram?
I'll double check. I'll have to check the website as well.
Yeah,
make sure that's a thing.
Shall we let James lead?
Yes, we should.
What would be your first choice for a newbie getting into games? What would you suggest they?
Well, one I've already mentioned, and again, it brings out my inner dice goblin. It's Dice Miner, a game you guys very kindly introduced me to. It's a great fun game. You've got this really kind of tactile, just mountain of dice, and it's so much fun to just reset the board each round. Just your hand in a bag of dice. Great.
It's quick as well, isn't it? It's quite a good filler if you've got bigger games.
It's simple. It's kind of you've only got a few options. You can include dual character cards. You cannot.
Yeah.
It's such a friendly, clear game that there's no, in my opinion, no massive barriers that would prevent someone enjoying it. Obviously, if gaming isn't for you,
And it's
Then maybe
great when
not,
you get
but-
to pick up the 20 dice. And
Oh yeah, yeah. You just get these this mound of dice and just roll them. It's great fun. Recommend dice trays if you can do that. If only someone would sell them.
We could have branded
Um,
ones.
Yeah.
Check out Redbubble.
Yeah, right, Craig.
Hello. Okay, my first one is a relatively new game. It's a couple of years old now. It's The Footsteps of Darwin. In The Footsteps of Darwin, you are voyaging on the HMS Beagle with old Charlie Boy, going around collecting animals.
You're on first name terms.
Me and Charlie Boy, yeah, we do good. You put them in your journal. Every animal scores you differently, or your different ways of scoring. You can get objectives that are really easy to score. Iconography is perfect. There's barely any need to read the instruction manual because it's all on the board or in your book or on the tile.
And,
It's just
anyone can play it. Like
yeah.
your nan, kids.
You could. The thing is, we can play it. We play it with our 4-year-old, and she has no strategy. It's just full chaos mode.
But she can play.
But she sometimes wins.
In fact, quite a lot of times.
Yeah, on chaos mode. I'm thinking strategies well ahead. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add these compasses together. We're gonna score loads. And she's like, I'll take a panda because there's a panda. Yeah, that's it.
My game would be Colt Express. I think because it's... I would want to show people that you can have a board game that doesn't involve a board and it's got a train.
Mm-hmm.
And the meeples move up the train. And so for me, that's like a, wow, look what board games can be. It doesn't have to be the Monopoly board or the Scrabble board or whatever. So that's
it's a really interesting mechanic because you're coding it. You're putting everything down and then you're moving everything. You're seeing you're playing cards and then you're seeing the reaction happen in live time with everyone's moves. It's really cool.
Yeah. So that would be mine.
A lot of fun.
James?
So the second one I have gone for, I believe I said it was Suro.
Mm-hmm.
Suro, again, just such a great fun game for beginners. It's so simple but yet so addictive. You're laying tiles and moving a piece around a board while other people do the same thing, and you're trying not to crash into each other or go off the board. It's that simple.
You can't really get it wrong.
And you, again, as a starting player, you're looking at it like, this doesn't make sense, and then after laying 2 tiles, it's like, oh, this does make sense.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you're planning 6 moves ahead, and then someone else lays a tile, and you're scuppered. And it's great, and it's so easy to play it. Just chill and quite drink and chatting away and just playing the game. Or if you really are into it, you could play highly competitively, and I guarantee I will lose every time.
I think it's also one of those games I feel like you could play a couple of games back to back. Like you'd have a go and then let's have another go because it's quite quick.
Yep.
But you want to try again, see if you can, knock your opponent out who knocked you out last time.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily 3-4 of those back to back without realising.
And I think I don't usually like games that knock players out. This is a bit annoying, but I think it's quick enough that by the time someone's got knocked out, everyone else is pretty much being knocked out as well. So
yeah, you've got 3 rounds probably max normally.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
My next one is Shifting Stones. Again, another relatively new one, but it's such a simple game to play. You basically have 9 stones. 4 cards to hand. You can either play a card to shift stones, play a card to flip stones, or score one of those cards. Then you draw back up to your hand limit of 4, or you can pass. You have 6 cards. It goes around. Then you've got 6 cards to play and do all the moves with the next turn. It's just so simple. It's such a nice little puzzle, working out the best way to score the maximum points by shifting the fewest stones, so you can get the most out of your cards. And there's like a really nice catch-up mechanism because if you've got the really easy cards and 1 point, you get bonus points for having the most 1-point cards. So there's loads of little ways of like catching up. So even if you feel like people have got like really high value cards and you're going to lose, by having low value cards, you can still technically win. It's just a really cool, peaceful game. It's quick, so you can, again, perfect filler, play a few times and you feel like you're playing something different.
Yeah. My next pick would be Six Nymph. It is essentially a deck of cards with ball heads on them. And you can play it with as little or as much strategy as you like. And I think that's why it's good, because you can play the chaos and you can put cards where it's really going to screw everyone else up, but you're still playing the game, you're still having fun, and you don't need to totally get it in order to engage with it. But it's another one where you can sit, have a drink, have a chat, have a laugh with people, and it always
25th anniversary this year as well.
Turns into hilarity and often lots of minus points for me.
But also, I mean, again, it's a deck of cards.
Yeah,
it's pocket sized. There's no big box. You can take it down the pub. You can take it friends' house. Everything is such a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So your last recommendation?
My last recommendation. I've gone for Patchwork.
Nice.
It's one of the first games that I bought for myself because it's just beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's such a lovely, lovely game just to look at. It's essentially moving around a board, collecting pieces, collecting buttons to then spend on more pieces to build up your board to cover kind of the most area you can. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a Tetris style.
Polygonal shapes.
Yeah, but it's just so lovely to look at.
Yeah.
It's got that lovely kind of calming effect, but for what can still be quite an intense game. It's lots of kind of, I know there's variations out there with different styles and everything else. I'm a sucker for the original in pastels. It's really pretty.
Yeah, you can't beat
and it's again just at the end of a night of gaming, it can be really nice, even on BGA. Kind of everyone else is logged off. Turn around to fancy a quick game of quick game of Patchwork.
And it works really well on BGA.
Yeah, just as a wind down, and it's lovely. So really like the Patchwork.
Well, they're a good three. I think
they are really good choices.
What's your last one, Chris?
My last one's a little bit more complicated to kind of get your head around the rules, but will be Cascadia. In Cascadia, you're building the Cascadia region of North America, funnily enough, and you are basically building up area. So you want majority area tiles, so you want desert and grassland and mountains and water, but also you're trying to, you've got animal objectives, you've got bears, you've got salmons, you've got hawks, you've got foxes, and you've got elk, and you want each card that you choose, there's a load of in the box, so you can really has loads of replayability. But you play those cards, they've all got their own little objectives, so you might need pairs of bears with no other bears around them, you might need hawks on their own, or hawks in line of sight, and you might need a stream of salmon, you might need elk in a perfectly straight line, just like elk always are.
I played it solo last week it was, and it was quite nice as a solo game.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
It's just it's a really relaxing puzzle that's just quite thinky, but it's just a really nice, and it's beautiful. It's like a really nice looking game as well, and there's an expansion to make it a 6-player game now, so that's always nice.
So my last recommendation is the Art Project. Now Craig, you love this game.
I love this game,
but we played it.
Don't ever say but.
With James and his wife.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it is. And I wasn't sure whether they would like it, but because it's cooperative and because you're working together, the pressure is off the individual player. So you can talk about what we're going to do. Shall we do this? Let me help you. And I really like that, because I think sometimes the worry with new games is I don't remember the rules. What am I supposed to do? What does that card mean? What do I do with those guns? What do I do with the hearts? But all of that pressure is off a little bit. And so then even somebody who's maybe a little bit nervous or a little bit reticent around games can enjoy it, have a nice time, and it's not all on them to like win or lose. It's
the Art Project really has a really nice... The negotiation in the Art Project makes it much nicer than kind of when you do a Pandemic. You can do 4 actions. What 4 actions do you want to do? And then you can really get alpha played. You need to do this. You need to go to Madrid because we're in the poops. Whereas in the Art Project, it is more about negotiating. What should we do? Is it going to be better to spend a gun to gain these resources, or is it going to be better for you to go first and spend something so we can get some guns or something like that? There's a lot of the negotiation and social side of that game.
Yeah, there's a lot of
really makes it what it is.
Because I think Craig and I started off with like, well, we should do this. And then very quickly, James was like, well, I think this is better. And I like that because actually then it's not down to us. You have to do that give and take. Oh, right, well, he wants to go down that route. We're going to have to...
And it didn't feel railroady at all. It was... I really enjoyed the give and take. It was like, right, I'm max health, but this card gives me 3 hearts or something. Yeah. Who needs them? It encourages you to share and work together within the game structure. And it was really interesting how we unintentionally paired off on the board. The couple was just like, well, we ended up going this way and you guys ended up going that way. And it was very much, right, if we attack first, right, that will move the art up, so that will be more for you to fight. So you attack first because the white hands are less here, and it really encourages that conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed the art project. It was a great game.
But I was worried how it would come across to new players, but it did work really well. So.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that sometimes like there's not a huge amount of rules. It's relatively light for rules, but it sounds, for someone new to the hobby, would sound like, sorry, I do what?
Yeah.
That doesn't, I can understand where it would be a bit like, I don't quite understand. But after like 2 hands, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got this. I know what we're doing. Let's try and do this. And it's a perfect co-op game. And that's why it's so high on my top. Yeah,
and it's that lovely balance of complexity versus the mechanics within the game. There's only 4 things you can really affect. It's fuel, guns, hearts, and walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you have no control really over anything else.
Yeah.
You play a card, you have to play the white hands. You lay this many, you have to put art down. So there's not a hell of a lot to keep track of. But no, I could join you on wax lyrical about the art project all the evening.
So what would your final tip or message be to people just tiptoeing in it? The hobby,
to give as many different games a try as you can.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as, in my opinion, an objectively bad game. There probably is in other people's opinion, but that they will have a market somewhere.
I'll save that for a future episode.
But there will be someone out there who that game exactly suits.
Yeah.
And just because, I don't know, you could try every game we've suggested and hate them all.
Yeah.
But then find the next game on the board along is your game. And there will always be something. And again, there'll always be people within the hobby that are wanting to join in, share those experiences. So again, I think it would just come back to try as many as you can and find a group of people that you enjoy gaming with.
Yeah.
If it ever becomes a chore, or if they're playing a game that you don't want to play or don't find enjoyable, then just say so, because it's about enjoying it.
But I also think, going back to the thing that you said at the start, is you have to give things a go.
Yeah.
We played Cosmic Encounters, and the first round, I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
We're moving on. I hate it. But I was very conscious that it was your new game, and I didn't want you to go away thinking, God, everybody hates this game, or whatever it was. So I had to invest time to play it 2 more times to really get a feel for, actually, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't like this, but, it will work.
Yeah, and again, we debated that at length at the time, understandably so, and I don't disagree with anything we said. It's very much a game that swings on player count and powers for the aliens. And it's difficult as the person who's kind of brought that game to the table not to be a little bit defensive and protective of it. Because it's
especially
like, it's my game.
You just spent a lot of money.
Yeah, I had literally just bought it that day at someone's pointing out.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, okay, keep telling yourself that. But yeah, and
he could have chosen Star Wars Unlimited.
Yeah, and I definitely made the right choice.
He spent more money
in the short term.
But I think you could go away if we'd have just played that first game and think, all right, well, that can stay on the shelf and maybe I'll sell it later, or I'll wait for it.
Yeah.
You could go with a bad taste in your mouth, whereas you've got to push yourself to try it again and go back to games that you've perhaps had a bad experience with.
And especially a game like Cosmic Encounter, where there's so many optional mechanics, there's so many aliens that throw so many different curveballs in, that you, literally, unfortunately, to kind of shill their tagline, every game is different. Because there are so many alien characters that you just don't know what you're going to pull. And I liked the fact that we played the first round and removed those characters so we weren't going to get them again. And it was just going through and trying as many different ones as we could.
Yeah.
And I think, as we said, there's a lot that could work there on balance, depending on player count and that kind of thing. But again, just coming back to that salient point, it's just giving it a go.
Yeah.
And almost, I don't know, getting into games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start charging people when they use that now. I'm just gonna copyright it. I'll be back. I'm just googling right now. Tap.
Thanks.
But that's it. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and thank you, listener people, with your ear holes around those speakers right now, for listening to this podcast. Please remember to head to rentshuffleandroll.co.uk and use the code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month of board game rentals. They're a wonderful company with wonderful humans running it, and it would do us the world of good if you just get yourself a month and see how it goes. So thank you all for listening. Leave a review. Let us know how much you enjoyed James's dulcet tones. Follow us all on the Instagrams, the social medias,
and come play Clock Tower.
And come play Blood on the Clock Tower and all the other games. I look forward to seeing you soon. And remember to get into James. Get into James. Just get into James. Go on.
Games.
Prize him open. Put your head in. I'm coming into you, James. Like an alien thing.
Nemesis.
Get into grapes. Grapes are nice. They are quite nice. Anyway, get into Nemesis. Just, yeah. Get in. All right.
Games.
So, love you.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye.
Cheers.
Say bye.
Bye.
Say bye, James.
Say bye,
James, say goodbye.
Goodbye, James.
Bye.
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 See you later.
Ciao.
Bye. So, tune out. Bye.
TTFN.
It's sealed with a loving Klingon.
Just hit the button.
Solo.